And joining me live in the studio to talk more on the protest in the U.S. Capitol is a public affairs analyst, model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye. Good to have you join us. Now, this is unprecedented. The first time it ever happened was in 1812. That's about 200 years ago. What do you make of this? I mean, America prides itself in its democracy.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pity because when it comes to governance, when it comes to democratic leadership, America president seems to be a contagious identity. They are the role model, they are icon, and they lead all over the world. Particularly records have shown this because of the preference attached to that seat. It's not about the individual, but because America deferred things to that office. It is idolized, they don't joke with it, and that's why you don't just come from anywhere to arrive and to become the president of America. And so successive leaders over the years, and that's why when there's a conflict between possible personal interest and the corporate interest of America, the interest of America take precedence. So for me, what actually happened, particularly the post-election, development before now, because one thing leads to the other. That's yesterday, if you check it out, Trump has been saying that on the 6th of January this year is going to be a day of reckoning. And so one would think that it's a pity that every great leader at that level, particularly when you check the former president of America, they combine the 7 critical variables that are common to great men in the world. The first is dignity. The second is discipline. The third is decency and decorum. The other 3 are tact, diplomacy, and wisdom. But unfortunately, from the word go, President Donald Trump lacked these 7 things. And that's why if we check before the election, it appears that both former president of America and that of Republican and the Democrats all gathered together and said, look, guys, what we have in the house now is like a bull in the Chinese shop. We need to manage him. We need to be careful because the highest office in the land and the most respectable office in the world is being grossly and deliberately denigrated on a daily basis by his content, by his culture, by his comment, by his character. And then sometimes you wonder, what exactly is the problem with this kind of personality? And unfortunately, he dug hole around himself before the election. It is recorded in history that for the very first time, that was the highest where you have Americans in their numbers, in their millions, over 150 million votes were casted for the election. And then for the very first time, the oldest personality in the person of Joe Biden, 78 years old, was duly elected. You will recall that before now in 2016, the election that produced Donald Trump, there was a lot of controversy surrounding it, where the Russian government was, mentioned in a lot of, questionable conduct and so many other things. But because America, like I said earlier, when there's an issue around that, interest, personal interest take the backseat and so many other things. And that was why the Democrats, you understand what I'm saying, in person of the outgoing president then, and then the, Hillary Clinton, they all said, well, guys, it has come, let us all move on. And we have seen that. So one would think that the same process that produced you, there were controversy before you ascended the presidency and also many other things. This time around, whatever it is, that is, as far as I'm concerned, that was one of the finest elections America ever had.
But let me quickly ask you, because when you look at some of the comments coming from around the world, statements coming from around the world, I want to take particularly the one from Turkey, which is, Turkey plays both an ally and a foe to the United States based on interest.
Right.
So when you look at this comment coming from Turkey, which says, we follow the events in the United States, in USA, with concern, so I think I lost it there, but let me just look for it, with concern, and invite the parties to calmness. We believe that problems will always be solved within law and democracy. As Turkey, we have always been in favor of the law and democracy, and we commend it to everyone. Now, it almost looked like Turkey is lecturing the United States on democracy. And at the end of that statement, they asked all of their citizens to be calm and stay away from trouble. That's the kind of statement that the United States will issue to developing nations. What do you make of this when it comes to the United States democracy and how the world now views the U.S.?
Well, I must say this, that the issue and the development yesterday was the darkest moment in the history of America. And it's a glaring show of shame of the highest magnitude that you can describe. In fact, I'm short of adjective to actually describe it. Because what I begin to imagine since yesterday is that I could see the likes of former president like George Bush, Senior, Junior. I could see the likes of former president like Obama. I could see the likes president of Ronald Reagan and a host of others weeping profusely. That is it the same office that we all were privileged. The population of America is in around about 300 million. So if you are privileged to be duly elected to lead America, which is the #1 nation in the world, whether we like it or not, you understand what I'm saying? Whatever it is, you should do everything possible because the responsibility given to you is like a white banner. It's like an immaculate mantle passed to you by successive leader. It is expected that whatever it is that happens, you should pass it on to whoever is coming after you and let posterity record. But unfortunately, since that yesterday, within me, my heart bleeds and so many other things because America is seen by all, it's a reference point when it comes to, leadership at that level. But unfortunately, because I was listening to him this morning when he was saying that, I thank you all, I celebrate you, you go back home, this and that. Are you saying the quality and the caliber of people you brought to the Capitol Hill, people who are climbing, they were struggling with security men and so many other things and all that. Are you saying as an outgoing president, that is the kind of legacy you want to leave behind? There is a lot of,
that's a great question and a very fine place to leave it. It will continue to monitor that development. Public affairs analyst, model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, thanks for talking to us.
It's nice to be here. Thank you so much.